This episode of the Fight Within podcast is presented to you by Meguiar's. For over 115 years, Meguiar's has been carefully creating and producing advanced formulas with cutting-edge chemistry to deliver a show car perfect appearance. Whether you're showing on the fairway, finalizing your car for auction, or simply getting your beloved car ready for a weekend drive, Meguiar's is ready to help with their premium car care products to make every automotive surface look its absolute best. Meguiar's, reflect your passion. Make sure to visit them at meguiars.com.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Fight Within podcast. Today's guest is Billy Hinzo. He is the owner and founder of one of our main sponsors, Kingdom Nutrition. Billy, thanks for coming on again.
Absolutely.
And actually, last time you and I just did it. This time we're doing it with Ben.
That's
and
right.
Ben's on. And you guys have been friends for ever.
Too long.
We actually went
Since high school.
Yeah, it literally goes back to high school, which is wild.
Yeah.
So
And I didn't even know. We all went to the same high school, but I didn't know of Ben until a few years ago when you had brought him up again.
Ben went to El Toro, but he was part of the ROP program that I was in for sports medicine.
I say it was sports medicine,
Sports
right? That's what
medicine
it
class,
was?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And
I don't
none
even
of you guys
remember.
are doing anything with sports medicine now.
No.
No.
No, I mean,
But
I'm
I
hurt
can do a
all the
really
time.
good bunion wrap if you need me to in a pinch for sure.
So last time you were on, we were talking about just like why nutrition, why sports nutrition, the motivation behind it, and kind of where you're at now. Give us a little bit of an update, but also talk to us about, if you could, a quick recap as to like why an entrepreneur, or why specifically sports nutrition?
Right. So I essentially started Kingdom Nutrition, which is going on 7 years ago, and I had been working for a company. I was managing 5 stores. They're all based in Orange County, Long Beach area. What ended up happening was that company sold. I was about to have, I had a 9-month pregnant wife, and my daughter was going to be born 2 weeks later. So the company sold on June 30th, 2014. On July 1st, all the locks had been changed, and my daughter would be born July 16th. So no one kept their job from the old company. It just overnight, no one, knew what was going on. And I was put between a rock and a hard place of, okay, do I dial up the good old Chapman Alumni Network and see what jobs are out there or what I could do, or do I keep going with the entire supplement industry, just triple down on protein powder and go for it? And that's essentially what I did. I actually remember starting the Kingdom Nutrition Gmail account in the hospital, after Brittany had given birth, and just while I was waiting around at 2 a.m. I was like, oh, I'll create the Gmail account right now and stuff like that. It's so weird to look back at it, but as I look at the age of my daughter, I can remind myself on the age of Kingdom Nutrition. So when I started, I literally knew I was going to call it Kingdom Nutrition from the very first day. I called every distributor that I'd worked with that had products that I liked. I said, hey, would you be interested in sending me stuff to my garage, and I will pay you back on net 90 terms and do whatever I can. And 95% of them were like, yes, we'll just send it, and good luck with you and your family. That sounds awful. And I think Square Readers had just come out maybe a few months prior. So I was armed with this, really cutting edge technology, which is a Square Reader. And so I had my whole product library in my phone, and I went to LA Fitness and 24 Hour Fitness, and they just sold sups out of my trunk and went to people's houses, did little consultations after dinner, and sold them a little stack of supplements. The weirdest thing ever.
But to backtrack just a little bit, where does a lot of people have these really neat stories about how they come up with the name and the meaning behind it. What was that for you? Did you kind of always have it in the back of your head, like, hey, if I ever open up a store, I'm going to call it Kingdom? Or was it something that you had to think about and plan out?
Yeah, absolutely had no idea until it happened, and the name was just there. So that's where it's one of those things where faith is a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
And I did know that if I ever had, because my old company I used to work for was called NutriStop, and so that was so similar named to NutriShop or NutriZone, NutriPlanet, if the customers wrote GNC on the check, the bank would still cash it because they knew that the customers didn't even know the difference. That's how pathetic that branding was. It was just there's nothing new about it. So I knew that when I had my own company, I wanted to have something different. I wanted to have something that stood out. So that was really it, though. I didn't know until the company sold. I was just kind of I'm going to start Kingdom Nutrition. I didn't do a 90-day think tank, peer reviewed, remark study of this, that, none of that. I was I know I'm going to start Kingdom Nutrition. Like I had all the staff over from the old company, like the night that it all happened. And I was like, hey, I'm going to start this thing called Kingdom Nutrition. I don't even know what I'm going to do, but that's what I'm going to do. And that's how I knew it was from God that I was going to, it's like, there was nothing, no other reason or like maybe I'd like had like some weird lasagna the night before and I just like had the idea the next day, but like whatever you want to believe, I believe it was God that gave me the idea. So that's where it comes from. Our logo is kind of a cooler story. So one of the things I did do was when I was able to, like have a little bit of free time, like I had a lot of free time immediately after it happened, but I'd been doing daily devotions and I was in my word. I was reading the Bible every day. And that was something that I stuck with. I didn't stop going to the gym and I didn't stop reading the Bible. Actually, you and me started going to the gym a lot, right? When that happened. Like that's when I started getting even more into training was I started going with you up to the, to primal and train, so.
My invites got lost, I guess.
Dude, yeah, man. Come on. But, so what's crazy is like I was, like in my word, and one of my daily devotions was because I was struggling with an icon. Like I didn't want to have like a crown or like a scepter or like I didn't know what I wanted for kingdom to be like. Yeah, like what's it gonna be? And I was reading Psalm 84, and it said it's better to be a doorkeeper in the house of God than dwell in the tents of the wicked. And so that's where the key came from, was being a doorkeeper. Yeah. So like in whatever industry you're in, especially like, if you feel like you have a small role in a company or a small role in an industry, like you could be a doorkeeper, like very small like thing, but that is like being a doorkeeper in the house of God is better than dwelling in the tents of the wicked. So it's reminding you that no matter where you are, what you do matters, and it matters to God, and God sees it. So that's where the key comes from.
So I've known you for a long time. I don't think I ever knew that.
Not a lot of people know that. Like, I mean, the other thing is I also didn't want to be I didn't want to be John 3:16 protein.
Like forcing it in front of your face.
Forcing it, and then also pandering, right? Like everyone knows that like up until recent years, like, a lot of Christian rappers were just failed normal rappers that are like, well, I'm Christian, so please support me in my awful career, being a, Christian anything was kind of like a second rate version. I wanted to be first rate, art, a zillion years ago was first rate if it was from the church. Like, the Last Supper painting is very famous. It's a Christian piece of art, and but it's world renowned, and it's like, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to make a product, a business that glorified God and brought honor to God, not like was trying to just like pander to Christians that had money.
But wasn't in their face Christianity. And that's how I feel about like our shops.
Sure.
Like I will never be like a Christian coffee shop.
Right.
But I myself am a Christian business owner, but trying to do, like you said, do things that still, represent like the kingdom and stuff like that. No pun intended.
Well, yeah, right. Exactly. Like, it's Christian when you see it, and it's just kind of like, like In-N-Out has their cross palm trees. Like, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't know that that's like representative of the cross.
Yeah.
But like
this upcoming weekend, right?
That's right. Yeah.
This upcoming weekend.
Yeah. We got it.
Last week was Palm
Sunday.
Yep.
And then Good Friday's tomorrow?
Well, what's today?
I don't know.
Good Friday is tomorrow. Today was just Thursday.
Sorry.
Tomorrow.
Anyway, so.
But I, in the middle of you telling your story, it was really neat because I kind of got this, I don't want to say vision, but this thought or this question to ask you is, as you were coming up with the not just the branding but the company and kind of the roadmap, where did you find yourself in like, hey, I'm gonna go for it and I'm just gonna do it, but because I know you, and for those of you that don't know, he's my brother-in-law. Our sisters are married, or we married sisters. I don't know how you explain it. Our wives are sisters.
There you go.
Too many punches.
Well done, yeah.
But there's also planning, and like you're very analytical. You're a very smart man. But you're also not careful per se for the world's view. So like where do you get that balance of like, hey, I have to try something new. I have to go out into this oversaturated industry, but I have to make myself stand out. Where's the balance between planning and structuring something and just going for it because of the knowledge you have and the passion you have for it?
Yeah, starting to sell supplements out of your trunk is like, there's a very fine line between I'm an entrepreneur and I'm just a failure to launch. You know what I mean? Like, so that's really tough. So there's a lot of factors. One, I was 25 years old. I was young enough and still eager to prove something, right?
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily recommend that. Like, I mean, everyone finds himself, if you become an entrepreneur, you find yourself there at all different walks of life. You know what I mean? Like, Colonel Sanders found himself there in his like late 50s, right? And it's like I found myself there at age 25, and it was a combination of right place, right time, right part of the industry. Like if I didn't have a square reader, I don't know that I would have started it, because like I wasn't about to go around and collect cash and checks.
Yeah,
you know,
or the
like
old school credit card, go back home.
Oh
process
my
it.
god, like carbon paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. That would be the most sketchy, weird thing, and that brought me credibility, because I mean, and to this day, you still use that at the shops. You know what I mean? So it's like that was like a totally normal point of sale people were accustomed to. Sent a receipt, so it was like I could do that. And that wasn't weird. So it was like it created this little window. I mean, it was definitely still weird, but I mean, it wasn't like awful. You know, it wasn't like, hey, I need you to like pay me in cash or whatever. Like it was very like a acceptable business model on some weird level. I say that, but like I go back and look at what I was doing, and I'm like, why did anyone just like sign up for this?
Did you have to explain yourself? Like, hey guys, no, look, like we just started, or we're looking at shops or something.
There's a fine line of like you believe this like little narrative that you have of like I'm starting this business, and like you kind of front it like like I'm totally doing this, and people are kind of like okay yeah, but like it's just like you have to believe in yourself a little bit to like, even if someone's gonna like buy stuff from you, you have to be like, no, like me, Billy, a self-storage unit in Foothill Ranch and my trunk has a better option for you than like GNCbodybuilder.com or Amazon. Like you have to do that. Otherwise no one's going to help. I mean, like not that they don't want to help you, but they're not going to like take something to put in their body that like they're getting from someone. Like you have to be able to like convince them of the curation and stuff. And a lot of people had known me from the shops.
I'd say you had a reputation.
I did have a reputation, you know, but it's like there was a lot of things that you have to do. Like you're not just, I had to also be clear, like I'm like cleaving from what I did before, and I'm starting something all new, you know. So like I had like a new product mix. I was weekly and monthly changing. Like, okay, I actually figured out when you own the business, you figure out a lot more about the companies that you work with, the products they have, the knowledge that they have when you're buying from distributors or, you know, vendors, and you start to be like, oh, I actually like this product a lot more. Even though we sold this one, we only sold this one because the old owner was complacent and was just kept ordering it. Like there's nothing good about this one. So then I switched to this one, and then I switched to that one, and then actually I met the co-packer of this company, and now I'm making it for a Kingdom brand, you know, or something like that. So like that's kind of the way that I was rapidly changing what we were doing as well. So people were kind of like, oh, this is cool. I haven't even seen this product before. So I actually had like a little bit of an edge because I was getting brand new pre-workouts, getting brand new aminos. I wasn't part of a big franchise model that takes 6 to 9 months to roll out a new SKU. You know, if something was out, I would call them, they would send it to me, and I'd have like the brand new product that just launched a day ago. Which today people do, you know, online drops, like, you know, the Nelk boys sell out of their full send stuff in 10 seconds now. It's like having a product drop is totally different than like in 2014 things rolled out slower still. So
you're the cool part about your story though is like the relationship component that you built, because dude, there's like no way in this freaking planet I would ever go to someone's trunk and be like, oh yeah, let me take whatever this guy suggests.
Totally.
Right? But because I didn't even know you were the Kingdom guy until Tabor that one day at the coffee shop. Because I used to see the shirts all the time at the 24 Foothill, and I was like, what the heck is this place?
I'd been shopping at Hidden House, and like I liked going to Hidden House, and I used to call it the hipster games. Like I was like, Brent, let's go to the hipster games, and like, you know, go like, because Hunger Games was big at the time, and I called it the hipster games. That was like the coolest shop to go to, and still is. And I was like, I remember messaging you and being like, hey, are you the Hidden House guy? And you're like, hey, are you the Kingdom guy? Because like we'd gotten disconnected, and then it was like, what in the world? So yeah, that was kind of cool.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah.
But then I became, I mean, you were not in your trunk at that time, but I became part of what you just described of like, I went in, like I liked to work out and I took care of myself, but when it came to supplements, I knew protein, right? Yeah. Maybe some creatine, that was it. I would just do whatever you told me to do because I trusted you.
Totally.
Versus like if you go to, you know, like one of those other stores, I know that ultimately some of them might genuinely care about your health, but for the most part, they're going to try to sell you the most expensive product, and they're going to try to, you know, pair it with this, and that, and then tell you need to take it this many times. That way you run out faster. That way you can continue to come back.
Right.
And I knew going to you, I wouldn't get that. And,
totally.
And it's the same thing. Like you built your business off a relationship, which
you
is
were
huge.
Also an easy client because everything was an upgrade from MREs. You know what I mean? So it was like you were like, this is fantastic. I'm like, well, I'm glad you think so. Like 16-year-olds think this is like not on their, you know, quality level, but like you were like, yeah, this is
is that something you sought out to do? Is to build those relationships? Because over at NutriStop, you had already established relationships, and you had established relationships
Yeah.
with local high schools.
And to this day, I am one of the last few bastions of believing in the retail model. Like, I believe in community stores. I believe in people having a place where they can go
Why?
to meet someone in real life, because the human component is lost in a lot of what we do today. A lot of brands are taking off because they have a cool brand, and there's not as much substance behind what they do. It might be very one-dimensional. We have one cool product we're launching. We have one cool thing. Whereas like Kingdom is something that's there for a long time. So, you know, we do like to be on the cutting edge of what is out there in supplements, but we also want to be a litmus test for people to be like, hey, this new product, is this good or not? If it sticks around at Kingdom, it's probably good, because we're going to sell it to 1,000 people within the next couple of months. And then if it's still there, because we'll get feedback right away. People don't like something, they're like, this is awful. Like, customers have no problem coming and telling you that your stuff is crud, you know, if they think so. So like when we get something in from, you know, a new vendor, like, our product's fantastic. I'm like, great. Like, I could believe you. I'm going to let our client base tell you if it's good or not.
Yeah.
And then you'll get a good understanding. So it's kind of, and then sometimes like they'll get upset if like, you know, stuff's not reordering. I'm like, dude, I'm not even pushing this hard, because we're an independent retailer. We have a lot of new brands all the time that pursue us because we have no corporate structure to go in. You know what I mean? Like, you basically get to pitch us. If the product's good, we'll take it. If it's, you know, if it doesn't fit or whatever, we won't go for it. But it's like, ultimately, we just get we get bombarded by new stuff. And a lot of that is when we have a good product, it does well in the stores because word of mouth spreads. People come in, and if they have questions, they can talk to somebody. And then if they have more questions, they can go back and see that same person. Like, you know, when you know, enter in, we just got our Facebook ads after like 3 months approved to run ads again. I think we talked to like 90 different reps within Facebook to like it is the least personal interaction ever. You know what I mean? Like, we had a new person, you know, some virtual assistant from somewhere every single time. So like, to have someone that's a human that you know that you can work with, and like they know you, is really like irreplaceable in a lot of ways.
Do you feel like that model holds you back from growth, or do you try to stay? Is it now a numbers game? Now, in order to grow, I'm gonna have to go open up 5 stores.
Well, so we still have the e-commerce.
That same appeal.
You know, so our Shopify is cranking. You know what I mean? Like, and we're doing. The hard thing with Shopify is like, you know, in the internet in general, is we don't have anything that's crazy marketably different. Like, I have a lot of friends that have companies that are very good supplement companies, and like, we're not even saying like we are so much better than that pre-workout, or so. It's like, we just actually are doing what we say we do. Like, when you look at a label and you get a product, that stuff is all in there. Like, no corners are being cut. We're spending extra time on the flavor. We're spending extra time on sourcing to get you a little bit better, you know, of a product. It's kind of like when you went out to the, you know, Guatemala and wherever, and you'll check on the beans and you'll check on the farm and you'll see. Like, you just take that extra step. That's not like you didn't invent a new bean. You just are like, hey, I'm out here. I know the farmers. It's a great product, and I stand behind it. And it's like, cool. So I know when I go to Hidden House, I'm going to at least get that good of a coffee, if not better. So it's the same thing for Kingdom. I at least know I'm going to get protein powder that's going to have real Madagascar vanilla. It's not going to have some vanillin fake whatever. I'm going to get real cocoa in the chocolate. Like, and that's really what we're doing. Not to mention the tubs are chock full to the top. Like, we don't cut corners on anything.
I don't know the I don't know specific regulations when it comes to labeling, but are they, because they're not nothing in the supplement industry is FDA approved.
Nor do we want to.
I say people don't know that
Anyway.
or get that, I guess.
Well, so we can create a label and put it on your brand,
Like right now.
and then just totally lie about what's in there.
Totally. And that happens all the time. And it's not even like I want to say that like everyone's evil. A lot of companies are confused. It's confusing to figure out what to put on your label to be labeled properly. Like, it's almost like you're set up to fail. Like, you have to really know what you're doing. Or you have to pay someone a lot of money to help you, guide you on like how to do it. You know, but the real thing with it is no one's going to come after you. Like, so let's say that you're some guy out there and you're like, this is vitamin C and it's really baking soda, right? And so you've got vitamin C all over it and it says baking soda. The FDA won't actually care until you say, my vitamin C is going to cure your cancer. And then they're going to come after you and shut you down so fast. Because like you're saying that
you're making false claims.
False claims. So you put on there that and there's certain claims that you like cannot make. The real struggle is not even people that are like that egregiously bad. Like, I don't really know of many companies that are completely lying like that. I know of more companies that are like, I have this lean product and it says, you know, like 1 sugar and there's 11 sugar. You know, that's more the people, like, you're getting people to make their product a little bit better or tastier off of like giving the customer something they think they're getting, but they're really not. That's more what like the, or like you were saying, the 20 servings, right?
Yeah.
So, it's a full tub. And it's not a month's supply; it's a full tub, but it's going to last you 20 days,
if that. Yeah.
If that, yeah. Sometimes you get skimped a little bit there too. It's not even the 20; it might be 19 scoops or something. But ultimately, that's what you're battling against. Is just like being sold something, and it's really tough with e-commerce because you get on there and you look at something. It's a picture, and so you have a number associated with that picture. Like it's $30 for that, and like you might see that same tub from someone else, but that someone else has a full 30 servings or 40. And it's same tub. But like totally different price because there's obviously a different amount of powder in there.
And you can't describe that unless you just write
Very
it.
hard to talk to someone about it online.
Yeah.
Someone just buying.
So like to kind of go back to your question, for me personally, I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
obviously I don't own your business, but I think the answer to does it kind of limit your growth by doing a store, I think it's like a twofold answer, and I think it's like a double-edged sword.
Right.
Where I think for me personally as a consumer, for certain things, other stuff like I'll go on Amazon and order it because I don't want to deal with it, like toilet paper,
Yeah.
But something that I'm going to put in my body, I want to physically go somewhere, talk to somebody. Yeah, they might like feed me like a bunch of BS, but I'm smart enough to know like take what they say,
With a grain of
but
salt.
look some of it up, and at least build the relationship. So I think for what you guys do, like having a human component to it is huge. Is it scalable? Well, for sure. Is it harder? Yeah, because I mean, anyone can go on e-commerce and just throw something up. But I think as your business model and what you kind of set out to do, like Kingdom Nutrition, building communities where you go, like you walk into one of your stores right now and you'll see a bunch of like either younger kids or like a dad coming in to get something real quick on his lunch break, like whatever it is, like you've been able to successfully build communities within your store.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like a twofold. Yeah, it's a lot harder to do like a brick and mortar place, right?
Yeah,
like
totally.
It's much easier just to go digital, throw something on there, but then you lose a component. Like people want connection, like whether they think it or not. I mean, look at this last year of COVID. Like people want connection, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not meant to be isolated. Like we're not designed to be that way.
But I think it's longevity too. It helps build longevity.
Yeah, so he's
more
like
loyalty.
cultivated relationships out of having a presence, which in return is kind of what shaping your future with the store right now. I mean, kind of touch on that and where Kingdom's going.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of it is we realized, with the COVID shutdown, is like, hey, we need to grow because we still grew through COVID. Like we still grew like 20%, 24%, which is wild. But I mean, we started running ads. We invested a lot into our web growth. But it was just one of those things that showed, we do well with our brick and mortar stores. People enjoy coming, and like that's a success that I've grown up with. Like I've been working in supplements since 2007. Like I've been for a long time working in a supplement store is what I know. So we should continue to grow our e-commerce, but we also should continue to grow our stores. And so we were looking into opening up in like Abbot Kinney or Venice or something, and then we're looking at Carlsbad. We're looking into like other places that are very health conscious, right? That are near us and they're regional. And I like to go to like blue ocean, places. Like I don't want to go and like battle it out with every supplement store. I'm not trying to take their business away, but B, like I'd rather be a solution for a community than be like just one of the other many. So I was trying to go places where like I wasn't gonna have a store like right next to me, but then just like with the shutdowns and like how tough it is to do business in California in general, not to mention one of my buddies, old business partner of mine, opened up a crumble cookie franchise, and COVID pushed him back like 7 months of like opening, just with like all like the health department regulations that the health department regulations were changing constantly. Like so like you would make an update and then they'd have to come back out and like do a new approval, then they wouldn't come for a while because like we went back to a purple tier and like what, and so it was a disaster. And I was like, this is really a tough and we were wanting to launch into doing like little smoothie bars, which I had talked about, like having a little like small menu of like basically trying smoothies of our customized protein powders. And that was like, this is going to be really tough to do this in California. And if we launch one, it might be 5 years before we see profit after we accommodate every single like health, department restriction, like every single, like everything, not to mention rent and everything keep going up and up. So we started looking into where else is fitness growing that doesn't have a solution. So we, it's funny. I have a business partner, so Kingdom Nutrition is an S Corp, and I have a partner in the S Corp, and he has been part of actually, like, they make coffee machines. A lot of them are in Ben's shops and Hidden House. And Curtis Coffee, my partner Patrick Curtis, he was the 4th generation in Curtis Coffee, and that company, basically his uncle forced a sell in 2019, and no one knew it was coming. And so, bam, he, like, that company ends, right? And they all get the shares, but they all had to pay a huge tax bill because nobody was, like, thinking of selling, so they weren't really worried about taxes. But then they all were really feeling it when you sell out a 4th generation international manufacturing business. Like, you're gonna eat a pretty big tax bill. So he's like, I'm telling you, by the time that I have he's like, by the time Kingdom either takes off to where it's super profitable, or I have another business, I'm not going to be in California and not going to pay that tax bill again. So I was like, yeah, it sounds good. And so I didn't think much about it for but after a year, he's like, hey, I'm looking at some spots. I'm like, cool, whatever. He's like, hey, I bought a place in Tennessee. And I'm like, whoa, like, that was kind of wild. Like, you went from, like, you didn't want to go. He's like, look, I could have taken 60 years and toured every town in America and found the perfect little, like, Hallmark Channel town to live in or whatever. He's like, but I just picked one that me and my wife liked, that had, like, all the intangibles, like, good, benefit for businesses, easy to open, not a crazy tax structure, like good schools and whatever. And so Tennessee's where he landed, found a spot, and just bought it. Like, flew out, liked it, bought it. And I was like, wow, okay. And he's like, you should come out and visit. So I came out to visit. It was cool. Like, it's in Shelbyville, a town about 50 minutes south of Nashville.
South.
So it's on the way towards, like, Alabama or Georgia. And so it is really cool. But also what's funny is I had a manager from our Ranch Santa Margarita location that moved out to Nashville 4 years ago. So when I was flying out, he's like, dude, you need to come visit me. And he's been bugging me about having Kingdoms in Nashville for forever, like, since before it was a California place to go, like a big one. And so I went out to visit him, and we went and looked at locations. And not kidding you, it's probably cost about 60% less to open a store in Nashville versus our suburban communities, let alone Los Angeles. Like, I mean, there's a totally different way, and it's easier, and there's a huge fitness community, and there aren't a ton of stores. So, like, they have, like, healthy restaurants. They have a lot of like population of people that are, all the cool gyms are out there, like, Orange Theory, Ep.44, like Pure Barre, all that stuff. So they've got the whole fitness thing going. They just don't have a big supplement scene. So that's where I'm like, okay, we should look into doing this. So we found we're going to do Brentwood, which is right, like, on the border of Nashville, and then we're going to do a Franklin store this upcoming year, and I'm going to move out there for a year to get them going. So
Franklin's cool. I like Franklin area.
Yeah,
I've been there. My wife and I love Nashville, but dude, that's also, one, exciting for you guys. 2, I'm selfishly pissed because I don't want your family leaving. But I mean, it like really opens people's eyes to how freaking hard it is to do business in Southern California, especially when you're a small business. You don't, like, I think a lot of people don't understand the cost associated with doing business in California.
Totally.
And you've been around, 7-8 years. So it's not that you have to leave, but even after being around for so long and establishing yourself, it's still one of those situations where it's like, yeah, I could open up in LA, but it's going to cost me 3 times the amount to do one out there.
Totally.
Or you can go to freaking, I don't know, anywhere, Arizona, and open 3 stores to the cost of 1.
Totally.
So it's like, I think people don't fully grasp how much it costs to open a business here.
Yeah.
And it sucks because
cost and operate, and to be honest, like, California has been blessed with having basically Silicon Valley. Like, there's been a lot of companies that make a lot of profit that choose to stay in California because it's great for growing businesses and weather and all these things and networking connections. But for small businesses, like, we get the majorly short end of that stick. Like, it's not awesome.
That's what's hard.
Yeah.
But dude, that's super exciting. You're going from Southern California to Tennessee.
Yep.
You're going to have obviously a bunch of new obstacles and struggles with that. We'll have to have you, like, share those, like, in a year from now.
Totally.
But I think it's kind of cool though, because you're going to be able to take everything you've learned here and, like, apply it out there with all this knowledge. Like,
totally.
I always joke around, like, when people ask me about business and stuff, I'm like, man, I wish I could literally go back in time to tell myself, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, hey, don't do this, do that. But then at the same time, like, if I did do that, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at. So it's going to be exciting to see what you're able to accomplish with the knowledge you have now and moving forward into a new state. That's insane.
It's our best opportunity to grow nationally, and it's also our best opportunity for my family to kind of, like, finally like get ahead. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, you've been a business owner like even longer than me, and you just bought a house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's like, I'm a business owner and I've been renting, and we live like, even though you're like I have a couple stores and e-commerce and all this kind of stuff, we still live like paycheck to paycheck mentality. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty rough.
Well, and that's what I think we've talked about it on here, maybe with somebody like a guest in the past, but like the amount that goes into it, right? It's like, it's not like people will see my store. Dude, there's a line out the door, down the steps, out the gate. Rad. I'm not saying it's not cool.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like people don't know what it cost me on the business side to generate even just having that line out the door. And
even remember when you were maxing out the grid from SoCal Edison for your air conditioning for the little building, because it's so little, and it's just like random things like that you just have
that people don't know. And I don't necessarily want people to know all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's also
you're not trying to complain. It's
but people do need to have, I think, a greater understanding of what it takes to do what we do, and not to be like, oh my gosh, look at those guys, but to more so just give perspective to what it takes. You know, there's obviously a reason why not everyone has a business, let alone a brick and mortar business. But I really, my hope in the amount of times I talk about it, or and people ask me, my hope is not for them to feel sorry for us. It's my hope is that they would understand just a little glimmer of what it takes for us to do what we do. And then in return, like when you look at corporate and big box stores, they didn't start that way.
Right.
They started off the way we did.
Right.
And someone either got super lucky, or they were really smart, a combination of luck and smart plus financial help, and they created something.
Right.
It wasn't just McDonald's having 1 million locations. It was a struggle for them to do that. And I just think people don't grasp it sometimes.
Well, and there was more runway. Things didn't change so rapidly.
True.
Like, the thing is, like, the whole model of, like, you know, go buy a pair of shoes, sell it, take the profit, buy 2 pairs of shoes, take the profit, buy 4 pairs of shoes. Nowadays, it would look like, go take your money to buy the shoes. Actually, the inflation has caused it so you don't even have the money for that initial shoe. You're now in debt to get the first shoe. You go to sell the shoe. Actually, that's an old model because technology's already changed. And now it's like, that's the new world. Like, people think, like, well, you know, just wake up every day and be really consistent. And, like, it requires so much right place, right time, right help, right, like strategy and everything just to execute even a small business.
Insane, adapting and pivoting. And like what we talked about, like with the social media realm in today's world, it's a blessing and a curse, but it's like, dude, everyone makes things look so glamorous, right? Like that microphone right there, if you are an influencer, you can make that thing look so cool and everyone's going to want it. Mm-hmm. I could have the same exact thing, but I'm not cool and I'm not an influencer, so my microphone's no longer as cool, even though they're the same freaking product.
Right. Totally.
I think it's like, what are you trying to build too? You know?
It has to be.
Like, are you building community? Are you building longevity? Or do you just want to make a quick buck, have a quick turnaround and be done and sell it and get out? I feel like both of you guys have built community. You've built longevity, and with that comes reliability. People can know that they can rely on the product. They know that it's a quality product, and they know that there's community there. If I want to go to Hidden House, I know I can sit and have a great cup of coffee, and if I see Ben, he's probably going to wave at me, and I'm going to feel super special. You know,
it's not doing its job for me right now. I'm so tired.
Right? Yeah, totally.
But I think one of the questions that I really wanted to ask you is, why the hell are you leaving? I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good. I get that question a lot. But.
Is not just that, but it's, and I've gone away from it, and I want to start asking it again, especially now that we have our spot, and we have guests, because I think people can really learn from it. Is what motivates you now versus what motivated you in the beginning. In the beginning, you're stoked. You're in that honeymoon stage, and you're like, the new business, new venture, new logo, everything's new. Mm-hmm. So now you've had a successful run, you've had a few years, you're growing. What motivates you now? Are you having to find new motivations daily?
Yeah, well, no. And yes and no. There's definitely an aspect to continuing what you've done to, like, that's what brought you to where you are, mm-hmm. or keeping the best of that at least, right? You know what I mean? Like, not saying you should do everything the same forever, but like staying committed to, you know, the products, what we're going for, giving our customers a consistent thing. Like, I don't want to be like, like, okay, Kingdom Nutrition, but then like I just watched like 3 like Star Wars in a row, and now like I have lightsabers on the tubs. You know what I mean? Like I try and like have a consistency and not just be like every little passion I have. Like even though it does happen, like sometimes we get our emails and there's like a comic book influencer Arnold or something in there because like I do like that stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm really trying to focus on what is best for both collectively my family, my business, and also like how I'm serving God. Because what is easy to happen, even in a business that you name Kingdom Nutrition after like doing something for God's kingdom, it's very easy to get caught up in, well, I'm doing Kingdom Nutrition, therefore like I'm serving God, so therefore like if I'm just like viciously pursuing this, then I'm accomplishing everything. And that is not the case. Like I need to be like, I need to be an example to everyone of like Jesus's love for people, like in every daily interaction, whether it's a sales rep, a customer, my staff, and be loving to them and giving my family attention. Like I said and I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, like my daughter is the same age as the company, right? So as she grows up, she requires like more attention. She also isn't a baby, so when she needs attention, she doesn't cry. She'll go and be quiet, and I have to seek after her. So it requires more discipline, taking out extra time. Like we just did, like our daddy-daughter dances with like your daughter and both of them, and then my daughter. And like honestly, like I've realized how much like even the little practicing and all the things that went into that, how much she lit up from that. And it's like, man, I took a Friday off work in the morning, still went in the afternoon because I had like a bunch of stuff to do. But it's like, okay, I'll block out these 3 hours for Navy. Honestly, the whole week she was amped after that. Like just from us spending the time together to do that, I noticed how much more. And that's where like when I'm sacrificing and building a business, I am actually like the one benefit I have is like I at least was like, you know what? Everything else is going to take the L for the next 3 hours. And like I don't care if it's like a distributor or this meeting or whatever. Like everyone's canceled except my daughter. You know what I mean? And like Brittany took the boys, got out of the house. So for those who don't know, my wife's name is Brittany, and I have two boys, and then I have a daughter. So there's 3 kids total and a dog. But basically, she's like, I'm getting everyone out so you guys can just focus and have your time. And it was incredible. It's like totally what we needed. And so and it's really easy for me to be like, I'm sorry, I'm busy, like I don't have time to do a dance with you. But like we did it, like practiced our Bruno Mars dance moves for 3 hours, and then we got out there and did Treasure for the whole little like dance class like the next day. But she loved it, and that's what I've realized, like those are the moments I'm sacrificing for. Like I'm sacrificing to build a business so that way I can provide for my family, and then at the end of the day have that freedom to be able to do that. And there's a fine line between like having the freedom, because like you have the freedom every day, like being a business owner, to do, you make your own schedule, you make your own everything. But it's like using that for the right reasons or the right moments is huge, Even if it's like something like, you say, oh, you can work from home or you can do anything from anywhere. It's like you can. But if I'm with my kids and I'm on the phone for like an hour and a half of the 2 hours I'm with them because I'm doing calls from anywhere or I'm checking a sale.
So you're not present.
You're not
present,
at all,
but you're not present
at all. And you're actually like everyone's suffering. The customer you're trying to help via text is suffering because Trip is like beating me over the head with a baseball bat, and like I'm not focused on them, and I'm not focused on my kids either. And they know, they're getting older. They know a lot. They're not like a little infant. It's like.
Well, that's what Manny and I discussed like recently. It's just being intentional and truly present. Especially, it's so easy to get distracted, but spending that time, like you said, I loved hearing that because we literally just talked about truly being present and understanding what that means. It's not being like this on your phone, glued to it, because you're not. You're there, but you're not there. But dude, I'm super excited for you.
Thanks, bro.
I'm pissed that you're leaving, but I'm excited for you.
I felt like this was a very softball podcast episode. I thought you were going to come in with a batting range.
I was going
make me
to
feel awful,
but I'll do that when we stop filming.
Right.
But dude, I'm excited.
Thank you,
Manny.
No, I'm good. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. We'll miss you. We love you. Totally. And we'll keep sporting and supporting.
I said, make sure
Kingdom Nutrition.
Everyone goes and buys something.
Yeah,
he needs to move, so
buy
something.
Yeah, for sure.
Or if you guys want him to stay in California, just blow up e-commerce.
Yeah, exactly.
And remember to use TFW10, and you guys will get 10% off.
That's right. There you go.
No promo needed.
Right.
Last question, just kind of final thoughts. If you had to give someone advice on someone that's just, and it's not even, I want very specific advice for someone that is I don't care where they're at in the stage of their life. They're thinking like, man, I've always wanted to be a business owner. I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't know how to do it. What would you tell them to kind of help nudge them?
Right.
Make it quick advice, because
Okay.
I gotta.
Yeah.
Eat.
Okay.
I'm
all
saying
right.
just
Yeah.
something quick.
Well, I mean, if it was that quick, I would say train to reign, right, Manny? But like, throwing back to Mark Munoz. But so aside from, the little cliches or whatever, I would really say, take every day and be thankful for what you have, and take that in that moment. Like, if you have a huge bill you don't know how you're going to pay on Friday, don't on Monday or Sunday at the beach sit there so upset because you don't know what you're going to do, don't know where that money's, like, be there, be present, be like, I'm blessed to be here at this moment. And because that Friday's going to come and go, and like, you may or may not figure it out, like maybe stuff gets bad and someone yells at you for not paying, or like whatever, but like, you don't miss out on your whole life. Like, take each day and each moment and live there, dude. Come on, you're the coffee shop owner. This is awful.
Do you see this?
It's your fault.
I know.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. Ben has to go pee.
Yep.
Remember, guys.
This is the real fight within. It is
Yeah.
happening right
Come on,
now.
you guys are
Tune
witnessing
into the
it.
video so you can see the true fight within. Pepto-Bismol sponsor us.
Yeah. Remember, guys. So thanks for coming on. Thank you. I love you. I'm prolonging this as long as I can. Remember, guys, that everything was impossible until someone did it. So, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/The Fight Within Podcast. Find us on all audio platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, anywhere you guys like to listen to it. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for continuing to listen to it and watch it. We can see the growth on our analytics, and just want to thank you guys for supporting us. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Kingdom Nutrition. Make sure you guys go and visit their site over at kingdomnutrition.com and enter promo code MFW10 to get 10% off your next purchase. Kingdom Nutrition carries the best sports supplements on the market. They manufacture and curate their own line of supplements with the highest quality ingredients, including a lean protein, weight gainer protein, pre-workout, BCAAs, and an array of other products. They've recently created the world's first vegan chickpea protein, and it tastes amazing. I'm a big dude. I like food, and I like chocolate. So when they told me it comes in chocolate and vanilla, I got really happy. But if you're a workout enthusiast and you want to change up your diet, change up your protein, go check out their vanilla chickpea protein. It mixes well with anything. It'll blend great with a smoothie. So to get your hands on any of these products, just make sure and go visit kingdomnutrition.com. Remember to enter promo code MFW10 and get 10% off your next purchase. Let's go.